Aw.
I'm terrible at this. I'm terrible at my money. Like I'm horrible at it. Like I'm not terrible at navigating the world though. It's like I'm okay at it. Like it's just like, but I'm not good at I'm not good at making money. I'm not good at doing the things that you're technically supposed to do. I'm terrible at all of that.
No, and the thing is, like, I'm a survivor, so I like no matter what's going to, like, I'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of being a fucking survivor.
Yeah,
I want to thrive. I'm sick of it.
Like
that's what everyone says to me. It's like, oh, you're a survivor. Fuck yeah. I want to fucking have a nice. I don't want to have to fucking be fighting for my goddamn life every fucking day.
I want to be a Surthriveor.
Yes, a Surthriveor.
Thriveor? I don't know. Thriveor? I don't know which way I should go with that, but
well, it's definitely Surthriveor, and it's definitely like we could.
We're Surthrivors. The Surthriveor podcast. Welcome to the Surthriveor
podcast.
Well, that's not a good lead in. I don't want to lead in with everyone talking about how miserable I am with my job.
Tiger.
No one can know.
That's a really bad joke. It's either staying in or getting cut out because it's like
so
that
bad.
Joke might be bad enough. Where like
keep it in.
It's worth keeping it. Like it might have come. That might be one of those 360 degree. 3D rendered jokes where it's like you can spin it all the way around and then really enjoy the full, the 3D
really
model
appreciate it.
The full scope of how bad that joke was.
Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to Girl Dick with Ted Cruz, starring Lilith Electra Zarling, Amanda Bonanza, and esteemed Republican Senator from the great state of Texas, your host, Ted Theodore Cruz.
The next one is a presidential run watch. We've got a presidential candidate on the Democratic Party running against Joe Biden, and it is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it is a fucking disaster.
Wait, is he the Kennedy from Louisiana who talks like Foghorn Leghorn?
I don't know where he's from. It says it's in Boston. He's in Boston, where all the Kennedys are. Like is there a Kennedy in I mean, I suppose they're everywhere, but they're Massachusetts folk. He's a Massachusetts. He's an anti-vaxxer, a strict anti-vaxxer, and he was he had a YouTube video about and this is the fucking worst part. This is the part that actually breaks my heart. Is his campaign manager is Dennis Kucinich.
Shut up.
I voted for Dennis Kucinich, and he's running on with an anti-vaxxer. Like fuck.
Die a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
All of this is going to the podcast.
No, John Kennedy is senator in Louisiana. Talks like a real down home, y'all. You know, you got people in Louisiana don't want the transgenders running around through the thing. But then
is he an actual Kennedy though?
But education, Vanderbilt Law School, Oxford, University of Virginia Law School, and he just comes in, and these people like slop up his Foghorn Leghorn. I'll say, hold on there. I'm just a simple country boy who went to Oxford and the University of Virginia and the University of Vanderbilt.
I'll say, Oxford wasn't enough for me. I had to also go to Vanderbilt. I thought I was like, okay, that's what the common people do. I'm just one of you.
He was also one of these dudes, speaking of double side of your face, he was a Democrat and endorsed John Kerry in 2004 and then switched to being a Republican in 2007 because he realized which way the wind was blowing in Louisiana. And instead of just fighting for what's right, he just chose to sell out to the power. Yeah, it's just like, I'll say the good people of Louisiana.
They're going to give me some money. I got some money there.
I didn't change. The Democratic Party went to a hard left.
Yeah, that's
they
what
went
happened.
to a hard left, and I can't abide by by a party with 20% of the populace wants free health care.
I can't believe it.
I'll say we're going to pay for our health care in Louisiana, and we're going to pay through the nose. I'll say.
That is my promise to you, let me tell you.
I remember Democratic Party when it was slave-holding, racist caricatures of the South. But now they want free health care, and they don't want people to die from medical death. Well, hell no. In Louisiana.
I tell you, when I went to Oxford University.
Just saying those words.
Over there in England and the UK, the country we got independence from, I feel like they over here, they had this terrible system called universal health care where everyone got to go to the doctor and no one died from medical conditions that were treatable. And also, there's no such thing as medical bankruptcy. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the nightmare that must be? I lived it. Fortunately, I was in Oxford and very, very wealthy, and it was not a concern of mine. However, I saw it around the nation of UK, United Kingdom, and boy, these poor folk, they were getting to see the doctor for free, and I can't abide by that. No, I can't.
I always think about Louisiana's state motto, live free or die in medical debt. There's this one guy on social media who every time he's a former stand-up comic, so that's how he ended up in my circle. He always posts saying, I lived in Great Britain for 5 years and they sell pull your own teeth kits. It's like, yeah, but so many people in America don't go to the doctor at all.
Is he implying that those aren't sold in the United States?
All right, no, he's under the impression, I guess, that everyone in the United States has adequate health care. So why should we have health care for us? Like, no, most people don't have health care.
They sold pull your own teeth kits. You know what they sell? They sell those here too, but
yeah, they sell them here
it's
too.
It's like, oh, well, so do we. Oh, well, but they sell them there. Like,
he's under the impression that everyone in America goes to the dentist regularly because they can afford it. Even people with health insurance don't get dental insurance, but that's neither here nor there.
That's because, you know why? That's because teeth are luxury bones that only the rich can deserve.
Yeah, they're luxury bones.
Discuss this. It's not covered by your skin. So, anything not covered by your skin is considered necessary.
If God wanted your teeth to be protected, he'd cover them like the rest of your bones.
If God wanted your teeth to be covered by socialist healthcare system, then he'd have covered them with skin, like the good frog.
I mean, honestly, like intelligent design would say that your gums just cover your teeth, and then you don't have to worry about them because and you can still chew, you can still do all your things, but whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Intelligent design.
Yeah, I actually have a good bit too for you.
God designed us to not have health care. That was a decision made by God. Who might have spit in the face of the Lord Almighty? Here in Louisiana, where we believe in the Lord above all else, we don't believe in health care for free. That's not the thing. What we do believe is a man in the clouds that ain't putting no skin on your teeth.
If Jesus wanted you to have health care, you would have health care.
Everything I ever read about the Lord Jesus, he don't want you to have health care. He was not against Lord Jesus Christ be like, get your own health care.
Get your own health care. You get your own health care. You get your own health care. Stop asking Jesus for help.
He did that sermon up there on the mount. I don't remember which mount it is. There's a mount. And he said, only people that are wealthy should have teeth and have access to health. That's only wealthy folk. And then he went and bought a gun. And it's like, that's the story of Jesus Christ up there in he was a white man also. Jesus Christ was also a white man.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna have another sip of my Paloma in a Red Lobster lighthouse glass that I found in the back of a cabinet. I think this is from.
That sounds great.
Adam's mom had this, so yeah.
Oh, the days of actual glasses. Like my grandmother used to collect glasses from like restaurants like that. She had this huge collection of like McDonald's stuff where they actually gave away like glassware.
And they're not safe to drink from.
Oh, I'm sure not.
They've got lead in them. And they break super easy. We had some of those. You'd be washing, you'd stick the towel in there and start cleaning the inside. It'd be like smash, break.
Do you remember McDonald's ashtrays? Like when they used to have ashtrays in McDonald's and they're these little tin aluminum foil things that were but they were copperish, and they were bendable, but they were on every table and you could just smoke it.
Go to McDonald's and smoke a cigarette.
My brother, he had this idea for a prank to play on McDonald's. And it was so what you do is you get a bunch of your friends and you all dress up like the McDonald's gang. You get Ronald and Grimace and Birdie and the Hamburglar, and you all go in there and you go in and everyone runs around. And of course the employees don't know what the fuck's going on because of course they don't, because they work at McDonald's. They don't give a fuck.
I guess this is happening today. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're hey everybody, and Ronald McDonald's hey everybody, we're here, we're the McDonald's gang, and then but Grimace goes and he distracts the workers by just wasting soda, just pouring the soda out, and they're hey, what's going on here? Well, the workers are being distracted. That's when the Hamburglar goes and steals all the hamburgers from all the kids.
It's the long con, of course. Welcome to Being Trans with Lilith and Amanda. I'm Lilith. That's Amanda. We're here to answer questions, talk about being trans. We're also, we're kind of changing the podcast a little bit, from our Girl Dick with Ted Cruz days. And I know you want to mention it, but we're in that middle where I think this is going to go on.
I'm gonna cut it right out. I'm cutting it right out. It's gonna be a hard cut.
No,
it's out of there.
So,
even though we haven't changed yet, but we might have changed by now. I don't know.
Who knows?
We might have by now.
The point is. There's
no way I can't. No one can see the future.
Stop interrupting me.
It's all right. I'm cutting all this out.
The new podcast is. I will not be interrupted anymore. I will not be interrupted anymore.
Really, this with an iron fist.
I'm sick of letting your brat energy run here, and I'm going to top like I always should have been.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Gonna top this podcast, girl.
I had a physically good
ooh. Yeah. Welcome to Being with Trans with Lilith and Amanda. Like I said, I'm Lilith. That's Amanda, and we're here to answer questions. And we're the podcast is evolving. We're gonna try adding some little fun stuff that maybe could just be fun and not necessarily just focus on the struggles of being trans. But don't worry, we're still struggling with you, and we're gonna still talk about the struggles. But I think we're also have a good sense of humor. As my background is as a comedian, so I definitely want to bring that to the podcast as well. My background is failed comedian, so.
I didn't realize I didn't bring my resume. I'm
telling everyone.
Punch up my LinkedIn page.
Yeah, go. Let's call up our LinkedIn pages here. He's like, oh wow, you're a certified professional coach, Lilith. You damn right I am. How do you think I have great answers for all these questions?
I worked at restaurants for years. I've tended bar. I'm bringing that energy to the podcast.
You know what? Now that I'm looking for a job, I'm I wish when I was younger, my first job, I would have gone to restaurant or bar or something. I worked at
why is that?
I worked at Walgreens because now I have Walgreens. So all my experiences in retail. I'm 52. I'm not going back to retail work. But if
you don't want to go into the restaurant business.
But if I was a
trans woman.
But if I had been bartending, I could go and get a job as a bartender and make decent money and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, I mean maybe
yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, you're right. There is no maybes. You could definitely do it. It's hard work though. It's hard fucking work.
That's fine.
I'm just hoping I don't have to go back into it, but I might have to go back into it.
What sucks is working retail because it sucks.
Yeah. Well, every job
and it doesn't pay shit. When I started at Walgreens, I
could be a hot trans bartender.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing you could do.
I made $3.35 an hour when I started working at Walgreens back in the Stone Ages. $3.35. All right.
And you thought it was good money too, because it was.
Whoa, $3 per hour?
My first job was $3.75 an hour in 1991, I think, and 1992. $375, and it was like a fortune. It was like I'm getting paid really good money. It's like this can buy me a lot of Taco Bell.
Yeah, my first job when I got married was at Office Depot, and I started at $5 an hour, but our rent was only $330 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah, it was crazy. And now everything
money
sucks.
had value. Now it's all in crypto. Crypto just crashed.
Oh no!
Just fucking tanked.
Oh no!
Crypto tanked like a motherfucker.
What about all the people who are getting what they deserve now? No!
Like me, I lost a bunch of money.
I'm sorry.
I have a pile on crypto. You must diversify. It'll come back. It'll bounce back. I guess
you must diversify. You must diversify in fake.
You must diversify. I've got
money.
I've got Solana. I've got Bitcoin. I do those things. I got Ethereum. I'm on the blockchain, baby. You better believe it.
How are you going to go off the grid with me if you're on the blockchain?
She's not the grid. It's all the grid. What do you think? Like, you think I'm just going to not go out? You think I'm not going to get on the internet anymore? What do you think I'm going to do?
Hello?
The blockchain's a blockchain. It's like, it's kind of the grid and it's kind of not. It's its own grid. It's its own real dumb thing, but it's no different than any other kind of, it's no different than the stock market or all money's imaginary. It's all made up.
I'm not in the stock market either. I'm not in the stock market either.
Well, I do.
No.
I do all that dumb shit. I'm a gambler.
There you go. Now we get back to the truth. Yeah, you're a gambler.
I got shit laying all over the place. I got a bunch of bags. I got sacks of fucking cash just sitting like in hollowed out trees around the nation.
Yeah, I just got everything in my mattress.
I got maps to bury treasure, babe. Don't think I don't.
I forget what we were talking about, but welcome to
a mason jar full of gold.
A mason jar? Is that the place to keep gold?
Doesn't deteriorate. Doesn't keeps forever. You can bury a mason jar, ain't gonna decompose.
You can just bury gold without the mason jar, and it wouldn't decompose.
So that's true, but it's still,
it lives. It literally lives in the earth. That's where they find it.
I guess you're right.
I'm gonna take this out of the earth, put it in something else, and put it back in the earth.
Put it in something else. But then you can't keep like a frog in there with like a stick and a leaf, like a little frog mummy, like a frog pharaoh.
and then in 1,000 years,
Egyptian frog.
aliens find this mason jar with gold and a mummified frog in it, and they just start like, oh, frog people must have ruled this planet.
Curse there. Curse there. Perfectly free of curses.
The most adorable mummy ever. Oh. As I said at the start of our show, not only we can still answer questions, but we're going to try to bring some of our personality and some fun stuff. Not that our personality hasn't been here, but some of the comedy side of our personality. Not that hasn't been here either. But I feel like I'm talking my way out of this. Like, we're just going to start having a little fun.
I've just been a doormat for the last 10 months. It's been a fucking amorphic blob, just going with the flow. Just a regular Ted Cruz, just be in the shape of whatever vessel I'm poured into.
All right, tell me about this. Tell me about this thing you got.
I got a little segment. A new segment.
A new segment.
Goes. I think I need to introduce it with it. I've got a theme. Here we go.
Freedom.
This segment's called DubYa.
DubYa. So you're gonna be asking me questions about George W. Bush.
No,
I'm an expert.
not.
I lived through it.
I need to bring this. I need to give you the background story here. So like, there's in the 1900s, way a long time ago, before Netflix and before streaming services, and even before the Pirate Bay and VPNs, and even before Napster. Like, when you watched movies, they made movies and they put them in the movie theater, and that was the only way you could go. And then you could rent movies, but sometimes they showed those movies on television. But whenever they showed those movies on television, if they had swears in them, they couldn't play the swears on television. So they had to change the movies. Now, some would just bleep them, but the better ones were dubbed over with different things, and they would take the swears out and they would put in something else. Now, sometimes those were done by the studio themselves, knowing that was sometimes going to go on TV, and sometimes they didn't do it, and they just threw in some random shit. But so the game we're going to play, DubYa, is I am going to take some famous movies that people have seen that from the days of yore that went and then that were dubbed over. So swears were dubbed over. So I'm going to give you the line from the movie.
Yeah.
And you're going to guess what they replaced it with.
Okay.
And so we're going to start with something that I think it should be easy, because I feel like everyone knows this one.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the most famous sweary movie, which is The Big Lebowski, which has the most swears in it of any movie. Yeah. But they put this on TV and they overdub it. And there's a famous scene. Yeah. And you remember where Larry, John Goodman, they go after the kid, thinking he's got their money. Yeah. And he's like, the line is from the movie is, Larry, this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. And he just keeps saying that. Yeah. So I need you to tell me what they replaced that line with.
Yeah, I got bad news. First of all, this is one of my most favorite movies of all time, and I've seen it a million times, and I have seen it on television. And it killed me the first time I say this, when Larry is chasing this kid around. He goes, "This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps."
That is correct. I loved that. The dubbed version of The Big Lebowski is almost better than the original.
It's so crazy.
Larry, this is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. That is the correct answer.
I love the idea that they are right. They're listening. They're we can't put this on Comedy Central. We got to have a dub. And it's like, okay, fuck a stranger in the ass. What's something that conveys the same meaning? It sounds similar. You're mad. You just fucked a stranger in the Alps. It's like, well, what if? Oh, you find a stranger in the Alps. That's exactly
what happens.
That's an apple for apple consequences right there. Usually, if you find a stranger in the Alps, they're probably saving someone's life.
Or they're dying themselves.
You find them in the Alps, you're probably taking them to safety.
Or you're both just on a luxurious skiing vacation.
Maybe, but
you're just in the French Alps and you're just like, oh yeah,
I found a stranger.
I've gone. I'm very wealthy and I've decided to ski, and there's other people also skiing and I don't know them.
And the thing is, you can say ass on TV. So
well, now you can say anything on TV, because remember they did that.
Why didn't they just do this is what happens when you find a stranger in your ass? And that would have been the same thing. That would have been the same. The meeting would have been right there for one.
I mean, it depends. I think the route they went with is good, but I don't remember. I think it was right shortly after that, because I think that was the early aughts, the early noughties when that aired, and it was the dub version. But I think shortly after that, they made a big deal of it, where it was NYPD Blue was gonna say a swear on TV, and there was a big thing around it, and everyone was oh, they're gonna swear on television, and it was and some guy was shit happens, and that was it. That was it. But now they just go crazy.
See, that's the thing with that is fucking NYPD Blue is geared towards white people who are pro cop, so they can already say whatever they can already say what they want.
Dick Wolf.
Yeah, Dick Wolf. I remember the first time, oh my God, I heard, I was watching MASH in the 70s, early 80s, and Hawkeye said son of a bitch on TV, and I was just like,
really?
What?
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I've So now we're going to move to a hard one.
A harder one? Okay.
So this is from Sling Blade. You remember the movie Sling Blade?
I do remember Sling Blade. I love Sling Blade too. That's a great movie.
So Sling Blade had there's kind of a lot, but there's one in particular, and this is why I'm bringing this. I think it's apt for our podcast, and so we know. So there's just a scene. I don't even remember who the character was, but he called Billy Bob Thornton's character. He just drop the F-bomb. Drop the F-bomb on
Dwight
Billy.
Yoakam. Dwight Yoakam was the guy.
Dwight Yoakam. Dwight Yoakam. He's and you have to tell me what they changed that to in the dub for television version.
I've never watched Sling Blade on television. So I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think of all the things they could have
would think like if you were going to say like one for one, same meaning, keeps, it would be like fairy. But I feel like that wouldn't be on this list because that's not crazy enough.
It's also like maybe I feel like if they're going to do that, might not be taking it far enough away from the original one.
Oh, so they didn't want to be a gay slur at all. So
do you want a hint?
No, I don't.
Okay, no hints for you. No hints for you.
Guess.
That's not fairy.
It's not fairy, right? Because they don't want to be a slur against any sexual orientation or anything. So they're just like, what's an insulting word? Did they go with maggot? That's always a good one.
They did not. They did not. Do you want one more guess?
Yeah,
you're not close.
I'm not even close. All right,
not anywhere near.
What he goes,
older.
He calls him Guy, and then they dubbed in Sling Blade going, "I'm not your guy, pal." And then they do that.
Okay, like that was actually closer, but it's not it. No, they went with God Lover.
What does that even mean?
Like God Lover.
Oh, because I think that wasn't to Sling Blade. That was to John. The character, what's the guy's name? I want to say John Richter was in that movie. John Ritter.
Yeah, it was that John Ritter's
character. He was a gay character, right. But I think he also might have been associated with the church somehow. And Dwight Yoakam's character was not down with the church.
I like how they thought what's an insult that's on par with the F-bomb.
Yeah.
But not offensive. But would still be found offensive, but not a slur against gay people. And they went with God Lover.
God Lover.
Which I would be offended if someone called. I don't know if I might be more offended if someone called me that than if they called me a.
I think it would take me too long to process that to have any immediate reaction.
Weird. It's a weird way to go.
I'd be trying to fall asleep that night, and I'd still be going, God Lover.
God Lover.
What did he mean? What is the insult there?
But that's where they went. That's where they went with Sling Blade.
Yeah.
They go like God Lover. They're like, yes. Like what's something as piercing as hurtful as that, but different, and it's God Lover.
I mean, it was probably like some sort of wannabe victim Christian that we have emanating from the United States today that wants to look like they're being offended. Where it's like, what if he called him a God Lover, but with
they themselves
voice?
Are upon the cross,
right?
J.K. Rowling on the cross.
I have to exist in the same world as other people. I'm the victim.
It's horrible. These people that I hate and are trying to genocide, they're not nice to me and they don't appreciate it.
God Lover. Shut up, God Lover. Get out of here, God Lover.
Persecuted. I'm being so persecuted because people aren't nice to me when I say they should be systematically genocided. Anyway, so I'm going to give you an option here. So we got I got four more, which might be too many.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you choose: Fargo, Weird Science, Caddyshack, Die Hard.
I think I know the Die Hard one, so let's pass on that one.
Okay, no. I want to hear you know it. Do you?
Oh, okay. I forgot it. I read it last week and I forgot it.
Okay, here we go. So, famous line from Die Hard. We've all seen Die Hard, the best Christmas movie ever made. Yeah. Because I'm a Gen Xer. Yeah. And Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I will die hard on that hill.
Yeah.
And so there's a very famous line where Lieutenant John McClane is in an air duct and he's talking to Hans Gruber, the main antagonist of the movie, played by Alan Rickman, because Hans Gruber called him. He's like, "Oh, are you the cowboy? Are you the cowboy, Mr. McClane, the cowboy American? You've watched too many movies. You're the cowboy." Yeah. He's like, "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!" And so, what did they change that to?
And that's the thing, is
make it safe for television.
I just saw this and it's completely blank in my mind because it made me laugh so hard, and I can't remember what it was.
Good.
Like the classic would be changing it to just Mother Father, because that makes no sense.
I mean, that is the Mr. Show classic.
Yeah, Mother Father. Oh my God. I'm going to laugh when you say it because it's so ridiculous that
might be, well, I'm not going to say it's the most absurd one on here.
No, but if you hadn't seen it while you were watching TV, you're going to listening to this, you're not going to believe it when Amanda reveals what it is. You'll be like, there's no way they did that. It's like, yippee-ki-yay, bratwurst breath. But it's not that.
No, that's nowhere
not even
near
close.
what
That's
it
not
is.
even close.
I am going to drop a hint here.
Is it yippee-ki-yay, God lover?
No, it is not. There's no repeats here.
That would sting.
That would sting. That would be hurtful, especially to a German. Well, hey.
We are nihilists.
We believe in nothing. We believe in nothing, cowboy. This one they went with. This one was phonetic. So this one sounds like they went with yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
You think you're a cowboy? Yes, I do, Mr. Falcon. It's like, oh, okay.
Are you a cowboy? Are you a cowboy? You watch too many movies, you American cowboy. Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
And then Hans Gruber's on the end going, I'm sorry, is that a movie reference that I'm missing?
Did you just call me Mr. Falcon?
What?
Is that the thing? I don't understand.
So not too far from Mother Father.
I don't understand. Yeah. I am confused now. Now I am confused why you call me Mr. Falcon.
Puritan America with its fear of words. I love it.
Okay, I feel like I also love
the idea that someone would let their kid watch Die Hard, but wouldn't want them to hear the word motherfucker. Like,
that was kind of the insane genius beauty of this absurd time and the waning years of the FCC giving a flying fuck about of the American this iteration of American Puritanism of it's like, oh, we've got to protect the children from the dumbest shit.
Yeah.
Won't somebody think of the children?
Well, you go back to the first movie, it's Big Lebowski. Right. There's drug use, there's people getting killed, there's illegal use of a land rodent in that marmot that they drop in the tub. There's there's just so many things, but I don't want to hear my kid hear the phrase "fucked a stranger in the ass."
No good.
No good.
Can't hear that. Yeah. You can see people getting shot with machine guns, and you can have "Ho ho ho, Merry Christmas" spelled out in blood of the man that's riddled in bullets and is hanging from a noose. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. That's okay, but you can't hear the word motherfucker. It's got to be Mr. Falcon. Yeah. And that's the very good priorities of the censors of the United States Christian right. Absolutely. The people that are concerned about children in this country. Yeah. I think we got room for one more here. Let's do one more. And so I'm going to go with the most absurd one that I think is on here for a multitude of reasons, but primarily why they think they had to dub this particular phrase. I have no idea, but this is from Weird Science. So Weird Science was this movie in the 80s.
One of my favorites, yeah.
Yeah, so this is why it was Anthony Michael Hall and some other guy. Was it John Cryer or something? Or
I think it was
one
John
of those
Cryer,
other guys that never went anywhere.
Yeah.
And there were two nerds in high school that were science nerds, and I
have to pull back here. I was thinking about Real Science with Val Kilmer, not Weird Science.
Okay, this is different. That's
different. I know this movie as well, but I do not know this one as much as I know Real Science with Val Kilmer.
That's fair. So Weird Science was Anthony Michael Hall. I know it was Anthony Michael Hall, and it was some other guy, and I'm going to go with John. It might have been John. They make the perfect woman using a chemistry set that they got at Toys R Us or something, and that's it's the 80s, and of course it's oh whoa, teenagers with a hot woman, what are they gonna do? And hilarity ensues, boobs and oh, they don't know, they're horny, and the perfect woman was I forget her name. She was the French model.
She was a model, yeah.
She was Kelly LeBrock, was it?
Ooh, that sounds about right. Yeah.
I think it was Kelly LeBrock, and she is beautiful. She's absolutely stunning. But that is the epitome of the perfect woman at the time, and the 80s, 1985, whenever that was made, in 86 maybe. but there was a line in there. I don't remember who said it, but like it was like probably one of the boys, like someone's talking down to Kelly LeBrock. So I remember like I haven't seen that movie in a while, but I feel like the boys that made Kelly LeBrock were like very defensive of her. Like she was out in the world. She was a lab creation. She was like
she didn't know about the world.
Infant. So she didn't know about the crazy 80s high school world of Southern California.
She didn't know that someone was going to try to steal her underwear. Right.
She had no idea. She didn't know. She didn't know it was a bad thing. It was like, maybe that's the normal thing that people
have
do
my underwear.
To beautiful women. And maybe you just walk around in your underwear. What's underwear? But like, anyway, like, so there was a line where someone says to her, but first, let me butter your muffin.
Yeah.
And they felt like they had to dub that. That was no good. That was no good.
I mean, butter and muffin, the implication there is...
So what did the all-knowing, all-wise censors of the FCC decide that would do less irreparable damage to children than the phrase, but first, let me butter your muffin?
But first.
And it's close to it. I'm going to give you that.
Yeah. But first, let me buffer your Mazda.
That's not bad. That's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
First, let me buffer your Mazda.
Yeah.
Like, did they know what buffering was in 1985?
Who knows?
I feel like that was a later thing. That came with.
No, yeah.
The word buffer existed.
Yeah.
But like it was used in like a risk kind of sense when you're playing the board game and really you need a protective layer.
A protective layer.
Which is still what it means in the terms of streaming. But like it's like. Even that's antiquated now, but that's not it. That's not it. No, I'm sorry. What we were looking for was, but first, let me better know ya, muffin.
I mean, it's courtship. Yeah.
It's like that scene from like in the movie, the Doors movie, where it's like the guy's like, we don't want to change anything, but we've got a problem with one of your lyrics, and the censors they're saying, how about instead of saying, babe, we could get much higher. Or if we said, babe, we could get much better.
We could get much better. And instead of Rolling Stones, instead of singing, let's spend the night together, just saying, let's spend some time together.
Let's make it wholesome.
Yeah.
And then there was like the Simpsons version of the Chili Peppers. It's like, we have a problem with what I got you got to get and put it in you. How about we change it to, girl, what I'd like is I'd like to hug and kiss you. And like they're like, oh yeah, that's much better. Everyone can enjoy that. Yeah.
And then they're out there in their diapers.
Yeah, their socks on their dicks.
And then, of course, my favorite is still the BBC asking Rage Against the Machine to just not say, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And then they sing the first part. They sing the first part and they don't use it. And then when they get to when the guitars all kick in, it's always great. But actually, Jim Morrison did sing the lyric as intended. And Mick Jagger, for the Rolling Stones one, sang it per their request, but also rolled his eyes every time he said it.
Yeah. Well, Jim Morrison did it by like accident. So in the movie, like that whole movie, the Doors movie, they portrayed Jim Morrison as like this arrogant buffoon, which he really wasn't. He was actually a really smart, cool guy. But everyone just saw the Doors movie and assumed that's what he was like, and he wasn't like that at all. But like in the movie, it was like they were like he went out and he did it like Albert's like, girl, we couldn't get much. But that's not what he did. He just forgot that he was supposed to change it. And he just sang it like normal, and then it was even like, oh shit. But he was like, he just made a mistake. He forgot he was supposed to change it. He was going to, it just slipped him, and he was like, oh, and he catches himself, and then, but they still like censored him for it. Like they went after him hard. Like, I mean, like that's crazy, all the shit in Florida, but like, I mean, Florida's still cool though. Florida's still as cool as it was back then, I'll tell you. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's our segment.
That's the segment. Are you gonna close with the music again?
Yeah, I'm gonna close with the music.
Freedom. Let's just jump into some questions.
I love that.
Yeah, this first question here. Hey, people who feel entitled to know your dead name. I'm kind of making this post to see how common this issue is, or if I'm just unlucky. But every time I tell someone I'm trans, their first question is to ask me what my dead name is. Like, why? Question mark. First of all, let's start with that. Do you have this issue?
I don't. No one's ever asked me that ever once, and it's incredibly ridiculous that anyone would ask that. Like, that's rude as fuck. To the question answer, no, that never comes up for me. But I mean, I suppose that depends on where you live and like what your surroundings are. But I've been living on the West Coast, and the West Coast is notoriously tolerant and understanding. And like, I live in Southern California, outside of Los Angeles, and here it's like trans people are definitely fucking respected. And you don't get any of that shit here. Yeah. You didn't in Seattle either. I lived in Seattle, like it was where I lived, Olympia. Like, it was very, very respected thing, a sanctimonious thing almost, where it's like, no, you must respect this. And so that wasn't a thing. But a lot of people don't know better. Yeah. And you get into places where it's not so protected. The consequence of it not being as protected as it is in places like Washington, California, New York, Chicago, Illinois, I think is really good. A lot of those places, one of the things that comes with having those legal protections is people being comfortable to be out. And therefore, it's more in the world. And when it's more exposed into the world, people have more exposure to it, and it becomes more normalized, and people see it more. And then consequently, they understand it better, and they don't do these impolite things, and they know some of the etiquette and the mores that like all the trans community knows, but the cis community is very disheveled on that, varying degrees of ignorance. And it's not always meant as like a bad thing. Like, they're not always trying to be shitty. But
I'm always like, what do you care? Like, I want to see if your cis name is Jerry, you're more likely to be trans.
Geraldine or something. Yeah. It's like, and that is a lot of the case with a lot of, I know a lot of trans people that like have some sort of like very close version of their dead name. Yeah. But the thing is there's a reason it's called a fucking dead name. It's because it's fucking dead as fuck, and you need to leave it in the fucking ground. Like, you never bring it up. Like, it's like it's like unacceptable. Yeah. Like, as far as I understand it to be. Now, I have a unique situation because, like, I mean, I in outside of this, spoilers. This isn't my real name.
What?
I have an actual legal name. That's not.
I'm out here using my real name.
I know, like, fucking ridiculous. But I actually did not change my name. I have it. My dead name is my name. So like, I didn't have that issue. I just kept it. So I was like, fuck it, I'm me, and no one can tell me who the fuck I am. I have a pretty unique name, and it's like it's okay. It's like it leans toward the mask side, but like it's not necessarily that. And not like really. and I don't care. It's like, fuck it, no one can tell me who I am. Like, I'm me, and I'm trans as fuck, and I own this shit.
That's funny because I did change my name, and I felt I was never completely connected with what my name was. But my name was also one of those, like, the 5 most popular names for boys in any given year, dating back centuries. So, I never felt that. I would say I had one person when I started at my current place, and they weren't asking, like I said, they're not being rude. They were just asking what my own name was. I was like, there's no need for you to know that. And I also have another thing, like, if someone asks me a question about being trans, I will tell them, so like that, I said, I'm not going to tell you that, and you should never ask a trans person that. Sometimes people ask me questions like, I'm going to answer that question, but I don't want you to ever ask another trans person that. Yeah, and I will always be upfront. And I think part of it is like, as a trans person, like, having the confidence to be upfront with people about that. Like, if someone asks you your dead name, it's like, you should really not ask trans people their dead name. Trust me. If you move in with a trans person, you're going to get enough junk mail with their dead name on it anyway, because that shit's impossible to cleanse out.
It sucks to see it too. It's like, oh god damn.
It sucks so hard.
Yeah, it's like I mean it's so for those that are watching or listening that aren't trans, that are cis and are just just interested or want to know or whatever it is, your allies, or you want to know more about it, like that's a really sensitive issue, like actually, and it's not okay. And it's one of those things where it's like it varies from person to person, but as a general rule, this is a hot button topic in the community, and it's not okay to bring it up, and it's not okay to talk about it, and you're really not supposed to. But like Lilith said, like, and I'm in the same boat as you actually, which is like, it's like I'm real open about anything. So people, and I also make it like very clear to people that I'm super okay with talking about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, I feel like it's almost a responsibility of mine because I'm not shy and I don't have any social anxiety, that like it's my duty to be an ambassador to the cis community and like let them know, like, because there's so much etiquette that like the trans that's in the trans community that is there, that you only know if you're trans, because there's this giant chasm of like, and that chasm is narrowing like as time goes on, and it's getting less and less wide, but like and quickly too, but like there is this large gap of like of just ignorance, and not ignorance in like a bad way where like it's not willful or malicious ignorance like some people are, but like actual just like I don't know any better, like, because the vast majority of people out there that are cis, they want to be respectful, and to them like the trans thing is like it's only really been exposed for about the last like 8 years. It hasn't really been a very visible part of our culture before then, and so it's for a lot of people it's kind of new, and like they're like, oh well, I want to be respectful, but I don't really know much about it.
One thing I think is important is don't assume malice on the other's part, and just be polite in your answer, and just tell them like, you really shouldn't ask trans people that, and I'm not going to tell you that, and it's unimportant to your knowledge of who I am. And that's the same thing with other intrusive questions. If you feel like answering, you can, but I would also say like people ask me all the time about surgeries, and I'm like, don't go around asking trans people about what surgeries they've had. I'm more than happy to talk about my experience, and if you want to ask about hormones, I can tell you what that's like and how that worked for me. But don't make that a thing where you ask trans, and just be polite about it. And if someone continues, just like you can just end that conversation. Just walk away with it. But I would say that's the main thing, is like someone who's asking that question. I think a lot of times we want to assume that there's malice in it, because there's a lot of malice in the world towards trans people nowadays. But I would say, take it politely and just say, I don't feel comfortable. Like, I didn't ask for your medical history. I would just do that and just be like, hey, let them know that they shouldn't be asking people that. And I think that that's probably the best way to handle it. Just don't assume that they're being, like they might think that, how am I gonna connect with this person I just met at a party? Well, let's talk about them. Hey, you're trans. Have you had surgery yet? I don't think it's always. Right. I don't think it's the thing where they're being malicious. So read how they're asking it, and if it's not malicious, just be polite and say, yeah, I don't talk about my medical history at parties.
Couple things on that. Like I think yes, there is kind of a lot of actual malice there, but not compared to the amount that there's not. Like, there's way more not malice than there is malice. There's a handful of malicious people. They are a very small minority, and they're also even the cowards. Ones that are. They probably wouldn't come talk to you in public if they were by themselves. It takes a very unique, bold ass motherfucker to come up and just pick a fight with a transgender person in fucking a public space. Like, that's not a thing that fucking happens in general, but it does happen. And it is one of those things, but the vast majority of people that would ask you something like that are just asking out of curiosity and ignorance. And I would say, like, as offensive as it may be, and that's just kind of, to me, that we're just at this stage in the development where the impetus is on us to kind of take the high road with this stuff. And like, there's no reason for you to escalate it. Like understand, you kind of have to be the bigger person and suck up a little bit of that offense and be like, like what Lilith said, I think a good policy is to come out and be like, hey, I'm not comfortable answering that question, or I am comfortable answering that question, but letting them know that it's not okay to do it is actually a super important thing that we all need to do, because like they don't know, they just don't know. And when we do that, I think it's also really important to be respectful and polite when we do it, at least on the first go. And like Lilith said, depending on how they come, if they come at you hard, like they're picking a fight, well, then you can take whatever. Then, if you want to smash a bottle and jab their face with it, that's fine with me. But chances are that's not the case. They're just someone that doesn't know any better and is curious because it's interesting and it's fascinating and they want to know. Part of it is
they don't know. I think one thing, the meme I always see is me talking about gender with cis people, and it's like a teacher pointing to the letter A, and then me talking about gender with my trans friends, and it's like Plato and Socrates having a conversation. It's like, that's what it is. They don't know. And, I think it might hit you weird when they ask that, but also consider it an opportunity to take them in a step in the right direction. And one thing I'm always reminded of is I read a book it was written by one of the people who helped lead the revolution against Slobodan Milosevic. And one thing he always said was, if this square is everyone who's involved, and this is everyone in Serbia, I don't have to get everyone on my side. I have to get 51% of the people on my side. And trans people in a similar situation, I don't have to convince the hardcore anti-trans dipshits out there to see my side of the story.
Right.
I have to get 50%. I have to get 51%. I have to get 52%. I have to get those people who come to me naturally curious with a conversation, and I don't want to lose that person because I immediately assume they were malicious. And a lot of times we wonder how we're going to win this fight. We're going to win this fight by engaging those people who are going to swing towards our side, and we do that by being understanding when they come to us, and
taking the high road.
Yeah, if they're malicious, obviously that's at 25-30%. That's it. It's 20-25%.
I'd say 20 or less.
I think
honestly,
that transgender issues and stopping trans people it's a very small minority. But when you're talking about current Republicans, that's all they have. That's how dire things are for the hardcore right. That's all they have, and that's why you're seeing so much about this. But think about it that way: that person that came to a party, if they weren't malicious in that question, this is your opportunity to get us to that 51% and just have that conversation.
This is your chance to, and by doing so, what you essentially do, if they are a respectful person, is you then saved everyone they've ever talked to after that
having that conversation.
No one else. They're never going to ask that of anyone else again.
Yeah.
And so you suffered that arrow, but you're tough. You can handle it.
You're the toughest. Trans people are the toughest people in the country. Get out of here.
You're fucking tough as
you made it this far. You were sitting here in 2023 and you're like, you know what? I'm going to start HRT. It's like, trust me, you're tough enough for someone to ask you that. And you can tell them you're not going to answer.
It's just part and parcel. It's just part of the packaging that comes along with it. And you figure this stuff out as you go to, because that early stage, you're super hypersensitive about stuff, and it's real easy to take offense at things that that initial sensitivity of I really need to be gendered correctly. I really need to people respect me. God damn it, I demanded. That's my right as a human being. You're right about all of that, but that initial knee-jerk reaction, that does calm down. That really is the hormones kind of fucking around and jumping around and jostling in your body, and all the new neural connections and all stuff. It makes you hypersensitive about that stuff. And as you progress in your transition, that calms down a lot.
Yeah.
And you start to realize that well, it's also a combination of you once you start being able to navigate the world as a trans person, you start just getting better at it, and you get more comfortable in your skin, and it takes a minute. It takes a minute to get there.
I would say I'm going to put one little button on this thing when it comes to respect. So this person comes up to you, asks you this question: "Hey, you're trans. What's your dead name?" What is going to get you more respect? answering that person and saying, hey, I appreciate your curiosity. That's really kind of rude to ask trans people their name. Please, I'm not going to answer that. But if you want to, I'd be willing to, however you want to go from there. Just telling them that's rude and not to ask it. And you still want to be friends, but just understand they shouldn't ask trans people their dead name. Or kind of flipping out and going like, how dare you? What the fuck is your problem? You have to understand, like, if and I'm not saying it's on you, but sometimes it is on you. Like, you're going to get more respect.
The impetus is on
educating that person about what's right and wrong. And then, like I said,
fair, but it is.
If you feel it's out of maliciousness, then you can handle it the way you want. But for the most part, people are just curious. The person who asked me is someone I work with who I had a relationship with before I started this job. And that was just the first time we'd had a real conversation. And they asked it. And I was just like, hey, that's not cool. And they were like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And that's what you'll hear most of the time. And so, think about the situation we're in. We just need to get to that 51% mark. And if that person is someone who's going to closer to that 51% mark, who's going to see us, who's going to know what it's like, knows a trans person, respects trans people, that's that step you can take. So I totally get it, though. It is weird. I don't know. I've never met a married woman and been like, oh, what was your maiden name?
It is, because that's the thing is like
I've never asked any married person.
This is that same thing with of just like being trans, like, because to a lot of cis people that don't know a lot of trans people, we're a curiosity. Like we're fascinating to them. We're intriguing. Like we're exotic. Like and that comes with a price on our end, where it's anything that comes from a place of ignorance. It's like, well, you're curious and you want to know about something that you don't know anything about. So you'll ask a question, but like, you don't know if that question is offensive or not, but you're not thinking about that because you don't know it. Like, and so it's like, that could happen to anyone that's outside of their little bubble of like what they know about. Like, and so that it's a thing that's happened to not only trans people, but to like minorities or like, people of color all the time have to deal with this shit. Like, and eventually you get to the point where it's like, you do have to make that judgment call of like, does this person deserve respect, or does this person deserve, like, do you need to come back at them with like some ferocity? Like generally not. Like it's generally like most people really do want to respect you and want to understand it better. Even a lot of the ones that come across as they don't.
Like I said, always in the back of your mind, 51%. Is this person that I can get? Is this a percent that I can push closer to 51%? And that's all it is. And it's just like, I don't think asking me my
80%. Let's get to 80%.
Asking me my dead name is not the same as asking to touch a black person's hair.
Right. It's not the same.
It's not the same. And so there's no, I would never tell a black person, like, if someone asked to touch your hair, you should be like, well, you should like, no, fuck you. Like that's definitely fucking, but asking me my dead name, I think black people and trans people are definitely in different places in America that we can politely answer that. And like I said, we can get that. And yes, I'd love to get 80%, Amanda, but 51% is all we need to push things to our side. So
I don't know if that's
true. We'll get to 80%. It is true. It worked against Slobodan Milosevic, and no one here is as bad as that guy.
He's not a good guy.
He's not a good guy. He's not a good guy at all.
No, not a good man.
No, not at all.
I wouldn't say no one's as bad as him here. I'd say there's a handful of people that are, and they're running for president.
Well, first of all, Amanda, thank you for a tremendously fun episode. I appreciate spending time with you and getting a chance to talk to you and lovingly looking at your eyes and your hair and your big natural titties. I mean, it's just everything I could want.
Well, I think natural is a stretch. Like I definitely had help from a doctor.
Yeah, but these
are pharmaceutical titties.
I would say there's only one thing hotter than a trans woman, and that's trans dudes. Trans dudes are hot as fuck. I'm gonna send some love to the dudes too. You guys are all so fucking hot.
I'm more into the ladies, but that's just me.
I'm into everyone, so
I love everybody. Also, I do love everybody. I love you, boys.
Oh, I love everybody, but I'm also love everybody. Yeah. Yeah, trans dudes are just like, yeah, so amazing. That's really where it is. And we love you all. And email us, girldickwithted@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Be strong. Push for that 51%. And, we'll talk to you next week. I'm Lilith. That's Amanda. This has been Being Trans. Bye.